Hello, everyone. Nice that we're here to talk today about accelerate your funnel strategies for a high-performance sales pipeline. My name is Michael, and I'm very happy to have you both here in the webinar. Sara, you actually started your career in ops, if I'm not mistaken, and have a long career in ops side, then moving to the leading sales and marketing role. Now you VP sales of Chartmogul, and I'm already looking forward from your perspective, to learn from extensive experience in building sales teams and revenue strategies. And you, Robert, you have extensive operational sales experience, and then moved up the ladder, leading sales teams, director, VP, and now you're VP sales of Spread AI. Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting discussion learning from your experience about data-driven sales and how to build up sales teams. But quickly handing over to you both. Maybe Sara, you can introduce yourself a little bit better than I have.
No, sure. That was great. I'll give it my best. My name is Sara Archer, and I'm the head of sales at a company called Chartmogul. Chartmogul is a Berlin-based business that helps SaaS businesses grow faster using their recurring revenue data. So most of the time, chatting to founders and CEOs about SaaS metrics like ARR, annual run rate, lifetime value, churn, retention, and I have a team of new biz, account management, and revenue operations because, as you mentioned, Michael, that's kind of where I got my start, and I really like the building that is ops. So I'm originally from the United States, but I've been here in Germany for an embarrassingly long time, considering how bad my German is. Had a dream that we did this in German last night, but no, great to be here and looking forward to the topics today.
Nice, pleasure to meet you. What excites you most about your current role?
Yeah, it's like a crash course MBA, right? Because I get to look under the hood at a lot of SaaS businesses. And so when I'm diving into the metrics of a B2C SaaS business or, a hyper growth AI business, the mechanics of those business and the unit economics are super different. And so even though I've been with Chartmogul for more than 6 years, I'm still seeing different business models, usage-based pricing, and never a dull day, I guess.
Yeah, interesting. Robert, so who are you and what are you doing?
Yeah, thanks for the invitation today. So Robert, my name, as you said, Vice President of Sales at Spread AI. So Spread, what they are doing. So we're transforming basically how product engineering teams operate by providing an agentic engineering intelligence layer that enhances classical PDM and PLM systems. And something similar, basically what Celonis does for ERP systems like SAP. Are we then the overlay that connects basically structured, unstructured data into a graph, basically, so that engineers, mostly automotive or from defense, etc., can work 10 times faster than they do nowadays. And my role basically comes with the title, so heading the commercial part basically of the organization here, including business development, direct sales, pre-sales, sales ops. Been here for around about 6 months. Building now the processes, structures, methodologies to basically then also scale further the organization here.
Interesting. And what would you say excites you most about your role?
So it's very dynamic, basically challenging. As you can see also in the news, our target verticals are, let's say, not in safe water at the moment. Means, of course, it's not the easiest play, but the interesting thing is that where I would say a lot of companies that sell to, for example, automotive companies are faced now by budget cuts. We still have a big lever because we can really provide a value in these times and still can make a solid business. And I think this is something which is a comfortable situation, but of course, on the other side, also a challenging one, and outlines then also the growth perspectives, I would say, that you can have in better times or more stable times. Yeah.
Interesting. Nice. So nice to have you both. Quickly about myself, I'm Michael Jäger, the managing partner of Kremanski & Company. I have a background in business, founded two VC-backed or venture-backed companies, one in event and one in real estate, and was allowed to build two up, one in the hotel business and one in the interior design, always leading sales and ops. And in this career, I learned a lot about structures, good processes, and how to grow a business. That's why I founded Kremanski & Company. We help companies to work more structured, define detailed processes within their sales pipeline, because I saw that there is a quite big mismatch between how we actually want to operate and how we operate. Doing this now around 6 years, 6.5 years actually. We help more than 500 companies to restructure their customer journeys, implement their systems like Salesforce and HubSpot, and optimize their growth approach. So my side, I take the consulting side. You both take the operator side. So really looking forward about the discussion. Maybe let's start with a quick off topic, but feeding into the discussion. What's your biggest challenge at the moment in your sales pipeline, in your growth?
For me, I think it's since I'm just here for 6 months or 5 months, it's really operationalize the standardization of processes and how we want to run basically the organization, especially when there's quite already a big org or a big team. So that's a change process for the people. It's new, of course. That comes with effort or field effort, so to say, and it's of course, as I experienced also in the past, not done with showing some slides. It needs to go in blood, so to say. That means it's really operationalized the frameworks, methodologies, process to, as you said, bring them alive. So I think that's what covers most of my time during the week at the moment, which is not an easy place, so to say.
Fair. Sarah?
Yeah, so mine's a bit different. ChartMogul, the business, is 10 years old, and for all of those 10 years, we've had the leading subscription analytics platform. So that's been our bread and butter. But in the last 18 months, we've started selling 2 new products as well as a services line. So figuring out what those sales processes really look like and how they differ, and then sort of optimizing the team and the assets around, selling a platform plus services versus a singular SaaS product.
Interesting. I would say in general, right? I guess most companies experience this. We have macroeconomical challenges out there, and I guess therefore it's much harder to generate a good number of high quality leads, stay in your average conversion rates or sales cycles. And obviously, as a consulting firm, we definitely experience this as well. The environment has become more insecure. That's why I wanna have this discussion around the sales pipeline, or what is a high performance sales pipeline, because I think there it really helps us to operate better, or to even operate more focused. Yeah. And the first topics I would like to discuss with you is the importance of a well-defined sales pipeline, and in my opinion, clear structures, very well-structured pipelines, as well as an aligned approach really helps us to better understand how we operate, to better understand where our challenges, and to better understand, or even faster understand, if there are challenges, how we can optimize it. On the other side, we can see that we can dive much more detailed in on the clients we have, and especially if we have less potential clients, we need to be even more on point, even understand better their topics. And that's why let's discuss this a little bit around these topics. Who would like to start and share your story or your experience around the importance of well-defined sales program? Maybe this time, Sarah, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I was sort of reflecting on this topic in preparation, and I'm lucky enough to do Berlin Techstars mentorship. And so I work with a lot of very early stage founders, many of whom, don't have a sales or sales operations background, and, getting them around the importance of a well-defined sales pipeline is not always easy. In particular, I'm thinking of two founders that I'm working with, and, they're trying to close their first 100 customers or so. And I said, well, let me see your CRM. Like, I can't advise you until I have some sense of like what your process looks like, what your conversations with your customers look like. And so they put up Adia, which they're using. Pretty cool. And sure enough, the sales stages were first call, second call, waiting for a response, pilot proof of concept, closed one. And I was like, okay, fine place to start. But the problem there is like the opportunities in first call, second call were so variable, and there was no clear distinction of, really where things were from the buyer or seller perspective. And so in time we kind of restructured things, but I think the point of this story is to say that a well-structured sales pipeline is going to give you really great visibility, because it's your job to tell a story about what to expect next quarter or next year. And if you don't have visibility into, what you're working on and how to optimize that, then you're kind of flying blind.
Understand. Interesting. I'm gonna comment on that, but maybe first, Robert, can you share a story about where you see challenges, or what's for you an optimal, well-defined sales pipeline?
Yeah. So basically, can just agree to that what Sara said, and what you mentioned also, having relatively fast, so to say, the truth on the screen, on the paper. Yeah, that means that defined and structured pipeline in the end ensures also forecast accuracy. And even if, for example, if you overperform, if you underperform, and you know it early, you can take action on that. You can invest money into certain challenges, problems, growth, whatever, and without having, let's say, the truth there, you might invest or focus on the wrong things. And that's what you mentioned as well. It's all about focus. Mm-hmm. And the better the qualification is, and I saw that what Sara also said, that sometimes pipeline and sales processes are structured like a simple flow of step that is followed by another step. And this indicates then the maturity of a pipeline or a weighted pipeline. And just because there's an offer sent, it is at 80% and counts in. And this is also something that basically wherever I join, I change. Because it's not the process that defines basically the pipeline, it's the qualification. So milestones basically that, of course, are in a certain stage that need to be achieved, so to say, underpinned with methodology, in our case, MEDDIC, that you need to reach with defined exit criteria to move on. So to have really an understanding, what are the steps that I need to take, and to start at the end of the sales cycle, and to get then very early always the indication, is it a solid deal or should I qualify out? Which then resonates to the topic of focus, and get fast, basically an idea how mature the pipeline is, to then take the right actions for improvements or to further invest. Depends then on the
Absolutely. Yeah, what you both said resonates totally to my opinion. On the one side, what we see is that there's a very unclear data model, right? The funnel steps is in the end the data model. So we have catch all stages. We have sometimes a status, sometimes an action, and then we love our on hold stage, waiting for the client, because in my opinion, there's one big misconception about sales, is that we try to sign a client and it's only one approach, right? And that's why we put him on hold and wait for it, and it's still a client. And I believe in approaches. So I have an approach where I try to qualify to certain stages, right? And then either it's a yes or a no. And if it's a no, I try again in maybe 3 months, 6 months, whatever the outcome is. And then what you, Robert, said, I think it's really crucial to define what happened in each stage, have exit criteria, have expected behavior. But for this, you need to define a pipeline or a data model with some rules, right? So one rule is each stage of the pipeline need to clearly reveal the status, and it needs to be a status, not an action, and because if it's clearly a status, then I can define what's happening in this stage, what I need to do, and I can define exit criteria. It's the only chance. If I have a catch-all stage like open or waiting on the client, then it looks good. We have a high number of leads or even an opportunity level on deals in there, but it's just at that pipeline. And then as better you build your data model, it's less often, or ideally, you don't need to touch it at all, because I believe in behavior, of segments, So if I understand which segment I'm selling to, let's say mid-market versus enterprise, they have different buying behavior, and I can build a pipeline or a data model along this buying behavior, and then this I don't touch. What I touch is the process, and the funnel step is not a process, which I see a lot quite often. We have defined our sales process, and it's just 5 steps of the pipeline. There's definitely not a process, but I define the pipeline, and then I define the processes, and then I iterate on the processes, because I learn, I get smarter, and as more data I generate, as better I can iterate, because my gut feeling is quite well. You both have a lot of experience, but the gut feeling is not learning fast enough, like the company is progressing. So the next time we want to iterate something, ideally we have our experience, but the data helps us. And maybe to share even a story where I applied in the company before I founded Cremancy & Company. I was VP sales at a company called 99 Chairs. They did interior design for offices, so we designed and furnished office rooms. And when I joined, we worked with a system called Close.io, very popular back then. The founder was all around, always on every stage, and everybody loved this tool. Quite expensive, and we couldn't generate any data. I didn't understand the approach at all. So I rebuilt the structures a little bit. I moved to Salesforce and focused the first 3 months only on processes. So we defined data model, defined the approach. So we changed 2 things. We built a data model which reveals the statuses. And on the other side, we changed the approach, how we can build pipeline. And then we grew within 1 year from 1.7 million to 8.5 million with 3 salespeople. So awesome. We didn't grow in people. So quite a lot of companies always define, when I ask them, how big are you? They tell me the number of people, which is not so interesting for me. It's always interesting how much revenue you do, because that's the majority level. And then we grew we just grew the revenue because we operated much more efficient. Ramp up time, we reduced extremely, and we increased quota by, I think, 7 times or something. It was quite successful. I would say outstanding successful. We worked on the business. Not only my intelligence was there 100%, right? We're at the right time, but the approach showed me, as better I focus on structuring things, as better I can act, and as better I can optimize. I can better help my people to how they operate. I can better train them. I can better see or better understand what on which pipeline or which marketing campaign works, what doesn't work, which communication works. And that's why I totally agree with you both. First, define your data model, really define what's happening, and then use the data to optimize. From your side, anything on this topic where you say, look, maybe and share some experience from the current or the former companies where you said, look, there you had something where you implemented?
Well, I was just smiling, Michael, because when I joined ChartMogul, we were also using Close. And on my second day, the CEO, Nick, said, okay, I want you to build me a forecast. And I cracked open the CRM and I said, I can't. You don't have the required data. Like, he couldn't tell me, the system couldn't tell me how long deals had been in any stage. And so we had no idea what our velocity was. And so he said, build a forecast. And I said, I can implement a new CRM for you. So that's actually where we got started. And at ChartMogul, our sales process isn't terribly complicated. We're a 20 to 45 day, product-led velocity sale. And so we have 3 simple stages, and they're just demonstrable that reflect, when something moves out of discovery into evaluation, that's the rep certifying it's qualified. And the customer is in an active posture of evaluation as evidenced by some specific criteria. And then things move straight away into negotiation. So I think for me, giving reps clarity helps, to Robert's point around focus, but then also helps your strategic or your RevOps team figure out kind of where to make changes when things aren't going according to plan. And that can be with process, that can be with skills or with training, that can be with knowledge. And so, I guess to the point itself, a well-defined sales pipeline is pretty important.
Good. No, thanks for sharing. I would say let's move on to the next topic. This is the interesting part is like now we defined how important it is, but what are the strategies to optimize it, right? So I think what I learned is a lot of companies, they focus on structuring something and implementing, and then they stop. And I always try to tell them, look, let's structure something, let's implement it, and then the work starts, because now we can learn and we can optimize, we can not only learn how to optimize the processes, we can learn how to optimize the entire engine. Let's start again with a story where you can share your experience. What are your strategies to optimize your pipeline?
So basically, following the approach that we discussed also in point number one, means building a robust, so to say, KPI system, leading indicator system that gives you an idea, basically, or is a early warning system, so to say, and follows basically the calculation that we developed in our case to ensure that we meet our pipeline goals. And this is something what we have in place, what we are developing. We of course challenges around that is not always historical data is clean and can be used. So at some point you need to start and build basically the data bubble to run the analysis. But this helped us, for example, to have also a way faster approach to, for example, ARR and shortcuts, so to say, the sales cycle by having different formats of, let's say, POCs, moving more to MVPs, to even click dummies to make it just more efficient. And this is by simply just putting the hard numbers and saying, okay, look, this is benchmark, that is normal, and we have here simply a gap. And out of this gap, then of course you can be creative and find different routes, and they can come from different, completely different topics to influence basically this issue or this gap that you identified. And that's how we at Spread basically are running the business there, building a KPI system, a chain that underpins the sales process to have their really early indicators to see when there is a gap, what can we do? And a gap is okay. We just need to know that it's existing, and then we need to take actions and make an action plan. And as long as we have the clear transparency about it, then it's also no issue. Yeah.
Fair. Interesting. Sarah, what's your take?
Question about that?
Sure.
Well, does everyone see the early warning indicators? Or I'm just curious, like, can you give me an example of what that might look like?
So basically it narrows it down. So based of course on metrics. So of course, as a company, we have an ARR target. We need to crush our numbers. We nail it down to, okay, that means we need, for example, in our forecast, a certain amount of deals because they have there's a threshold. That means we need, for example, 4 visible ops, we call it. So ops that are not in closing yet and are in pipeline. So after initial successful discovery, so to say. And of course, when you don't have this number of opportunities, there is a gap. Yeah, nailing it then also down when you have those opportunities further to measuring, for example, meaningful touch points and connecting this to the milestones, achievements, or milestones that we match to each stage. So meaning, for example, having a go live plan in place, etc., and actions that bring us to fulfilling this milestone, and measuring whether there is opportunity progression, because this is something what also is, from my experience, often overseen. There is pipeline, but there's no progression. There's not the usage of the momentum. And especially in my context here at Spread, we have long enterprise sets, like multi-million engagements with even 1-2 level below the board of automotive companies. And as you can see, each day something can happen, external factors. Car sales goes down, etc., budget cuts, and that's why for us it's important to have momentum, to have progression, and this then also, of course, goes down into, let's say, when you work with cadences and people that are added to the pipeline, etc. And so there we can early define, and it goes more to the activity level down where we have gaps and what we need to do. And is it an additional campaign? Is it, for example, executive outreach? Is it basically experimenting with new solutions in new verticals? So all those things that we can think of to do, but we need to have this clear visibility, because I saw also that the funny it is, sometimes it's hard for people to understand that if you put the right thing into the pipeline and enough of it, then of course it's simply math that something comes out of it. And I often observe that there is reactiveness in a hope that something comes. I do not know where from. So you have to put something in to put something out. And that's what we also want to make transparent and logical, so that everybody has the visibility in the team, across the teams, across the company even. Yeah.
Interesting. Sarah, what's your strategy to optimize your pipeline?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, there's lots, but I'll just give you two. I'll give you one tactical and one strategic. One thing we implemented about a year ago at ChartMogul is individual alert channels for each one of my reps. And so I let my reps, we did an offsite, like a sales team offsite. It was really fun. We made pizzas and played board games, and we did some workshops. And we landed on individual alert channels for each of the reps, because their book of business and their territories are very different. And when it comes to alerting reps, like an SQL has been assigned to you, or you need to do X, Y, or Z. I often see businesses over or under alert reps, and then no action is done, and then we start to not pay attention to alerts at all. So a solution to that was, well, what if every rep had their own individualized alerting system, and they could decide and configure the alerts to their liking in a way that works for them? And so each rep has their own channel. When they're out on holiday, I monitor and manage the alerting channels and take action on each one of them. But we configured this with Segment and a product called N8N. And it works because it's personalized. So that's one strategy where, when the market's really tough, time to action, a qualified is so important and so overlooked, because we've been spoiled with sales technology the last however many years. And so it's just a simple thing, but a personalized alert and a phone call within the first 15 minutes of someone signing up for a trial or filling out a form could be the difference between you winning or losing a deal to competitors. So I'm a big fan of that. A strategic strategy for optimizing pipeline would be segmentation. And so I think, when we were talking about the importance of a well-defined sales pipeline, oftentimes what you see is everyone just kind of throw deals into a bucket, and then, to Robert's point, hoping things come out, the bottom side of the funnel. And so if you have a RevOps leader or sales leader that needs to hey, things are moving too slowly, or, things are falling out of the pipeline, you might consider asking yourself, is that because what we're throwing into the pipeline is categorically different? And should we pull apart something like our mid-market and our enterprise, or should we pull apart these products or these geographies because the buying or the selling process is different? And so Christoph Jans from Point 9, he always says, if you fail to segment your data, you may end up underselling yourself to your investors, or worse yet, make poor business decisions by looking at aggregate data on the whole. And so you can really segment by ostensibly anything, like deal size. That's one we segment a lot. You can even drill down and look like further, underneath of your deal data. One thing I'm looking at with that same startup that I mentored, or that I mentioned mentoring, is contacts on the deal level, because we're finding that when the contacts on the deal have more seniority and influence and authority, those deal cycles are happening at a faster clip. And so that one level of drill down has been kind of useful for us in understanding, how we can tweak things. So customized alerts at a tactical level and segmentation at a strategic level.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so I truly believe in segmentation and really operating on pipelines or customer journeys which are fitting to the individual segment, because most companies work with blended metrics in the end, because they put everything in one pipeline, and then it's really hard to understand, and to really optimize. On the other side, I think one crucial thing, and obviously it has become much more challenging, but we in 2024, even though we are 2024, it's still a lot of companies operate in silos between marketing, sales, and customer success, right? Marketing still has leads as goals, number of leads, low CPL, which I truly find the most uninteresting number I can look at. And then we have what Robert said, right? We just push in everything we can, and then if you put in enough, something will come out. And I think this tactic doesn't work. It costs a lot, it's inefficient, and we don't understand anything. So I truly believe in aligned customer journeys on a segment where marketing, sales, and customer success operate hand in hand, where we have, like we defined it before, right? Where we have clear status or clear understanding of each pipeline step, and then can look into every single step on every single campaign and understand if something is wrong. We can look at the people, which are crucial, right? And understand if the one AE compared to all the others on segment A has the same behavior along the customer journey, or do we see differences? Do we need special training, I don't know, on opening or on closing for individual people? And I truly believe in signals, because if I generate leads, I can usually say within, let's say, 48 latest, between 24 and 48 hours, if the lead is good, because reach rate, is it there or not there? Yeah? If I try to call, nobody picks up. Most probably not the best campaign, maybe a low CPL, but if we reach only 20%, it's not interesting. So I can already give feedback back to the top of funnel and say, hey, there's something wrong. Usually we have a reach rate of 60, now it's only 40. This will have an impact on deal creation. This will have an impact in 4 weeks, in 6 weeks. And connecting these dots makes it obviously much more complex, because you need to look holistically at growth. But on the other side, if you have a well-defined journey, you can optimize for people, you can optimize for campaigns, and you can even optimize on the segments step by step. Yeah. So what is general conversion rates? What are general metrics? What can we do to reduce, I don't know, input of the people? What can we do to increase step-by-step conversion? Because the impact is tremendous if I'm enabled. And I think this brings us to our last topic as well, is how can we maximize on conversion rates? And my take here is I can maximize on conversion rate if I segment correctly, right? So I define segments, I define expected behavior. I have a clear data model, which on the one side gives us the status of the client. On the other side is processes which are designed to enable the people to serve the clients, because then we can go really in, let's say, stage 4. We know exactly what is the to-do in there, what is the employee doing, what is the system doing, what are the exit criteria, and then we look at and really optimizing step by step, how can we increase conversion rate, or what needs to be done in order to optimize there. And I think one topic here is, especially when we align marketing, sales, or let's say here marketing and sales, we don't want to have a high number of leads. We want to have the most leads we can get of highly interested potential clients, because I rather work on much less leads with much higher conversion rate than the other way around. And one tactic here is we analyze our current data customer set. We not only look at the segment, but we dive in and really understand on what client type, industry, or even further going down, do we have the highest impact on our clients. And if we focus on the even smaller target group where we can generate the highest impact, we can generate leads where we can show on the one side, hey, we have solved this problem for others in your specific area, and we can impact into your business when you use our product. And then we not generate the high number of leads, we generate rather a low number of leads, but we work on them with high intent, which means the conversion rate goes tremendously up, which increases efficiency and gives us more time to breathe. Because I think what the first intention is when business is not good is, let's take every shot we can get. Yeah. So let's work on every lead we can get. And I would say, no, don't do it, because yes, it seems you're busy. It seems you're generating business. It seems you're generating pipeline, but there will be no business coming out of it, or not enough, while you're tremendously busy and you have no time to breathe and think and strategically think how you can get better. And that's why I believe this exercise is extremely important to do so. But you both are the operators, and that's my theoretical view. What's your both takes on it?
Definitely, and that's basically also something what we are currently doing, for example. And I learned it at my time when I was at Applause, where we were bought by a big equity fund, so to say. And a term that VCs often use is something that's called CapDB grading, and that's more or less exactly what you do, and that's what we are doing also nowadays at Spread. So really nailing it down on criteria, weighting them, building scores. So, for example, what's the right market potential, the solution need of this industry, competitive intensity, ease of penetration, stuff like this, to then tear down basically on the first cent, of course, the relevant verticals, which for us is then, of course, automotive. It's more commercial vehicles, defense, so everything that's complex due to the product, so to say, which enables us to do the same exercise on an account level. And then, of course, understanding, building the right personas, building out the solution capabilities, the value map, and then have a clear understanding who is the person that we can tackle, where we can deliver the biggest value, to ensure exactly what you say, only work on those things that have a high probability to close, because that's exactly what I experienced quite often in all my stations, that people work on dead horses and opportunities. They just have the hope it's closed. The business case is not strong. And especially when the pipe is low, they are busy. And then, for example, we are back to optimizing the pipe. They do not have the time, for example, to do an enterprise account planning, to strategize where are the low-hanging fruits, where's the highest value, how I prioritize different opportunities within one key account to then plan basically the growth and operationalize it. Yeah, so that's the experience that I definitely made. Focus, understanding where the sweet spot is. And as you said, saying no, also from our side, if we don't think it's basically a fit. Yeah. And just the hope that a deal closes is nothing that you should take as a qualification criteria to put effort on. And I think that that's a bit a secret, to say no and to let things go if they are not solid enough, because then you have the time to work on improving the conversion rates on the key deals. Then you have the time to run there the deal desk, to support the team, to tweak the smaller things like how they run discovery calls, how they have the conversations with the clients, how they process from step to step, how they utilize go live plans, that they come into a pull motion into the deals and not, let's say, I'm the one who is sitting next to the driver so that they become the driver. And that's something that you, of course, can just do when you have time and just work on the things that are solid and mature.
Yeah, fair. Nice.
I mean, at the end of the day, sales is relationship work, right? So if you're trying to boil the ocean, like, I don't know, at ChartMogul we get 2,100 inbound leads a month for a 3-person sales team. And in the last year, we actually removed something like 75% of those leads from the sales assignment. Historically, we kind of let them work everything, and then we had some lead scoring to help with prioritization. But quarter over quarter, I took big chunks of leads away and said, trust me, let's figure out like if I can just focus you on the most strategic stuff. And so now they only work about 20% of the leads that come in. And the business is so much healthier for it, right? Mm-hmm. They're working the more strategic things. The self-serve converts at ostensibly the same rate with no human intervention. We're not paying out on small commissions. So yeah.
You do the marketing spend most probably as well? Or?
Yeah, almost certainly. And so I don't know, Michael, you said your point was like theoretical from the perspective of a consultant, but from your experience, I think like Robert and I definitely agree that like less is better. Maybe even more so in this market.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree, because I believe it's right. On the one side, you need to have the patience and the strategic view and the trust that you work on the right clients, right? And as better you have implemented what we discussed today, right? So clear segments, strategic pipelines per segment where we understand where we don't have a first call, second call, and then waiting for client. Rather than clear status where we define the approach and we align the approach. Yeah. Then we generate data, and this data will give us the security that we are on the right track, right? And it gives us the patience to focus on the right things. And that's why I would say it's even more crucial to have the right setup, because if you haven't, and then it comes times like this come, the patience is hard, because then you only need to trust your gut feeling, or even management need to trust your gut feeling that you have the right thing, and say, look, we say no to leads even though we don't do enough business, which is the harder decision. So thanks for sharing this. And we actually have a question from Helena Hoffman, and she's asking, what's your go-to strategy to reduce the sales cycle? I guess it comes on that the sales cycles have increased tremendously in the past 18 months. But yeah, maybe Sara this time first.
Sure.
First of all, do you experience this at ChartMogul as well, longer sales cycles? Or?
Well, we're spoiled insofar as the vast majority of our leads are inbound trials with very high intent. We do sometimes see a little bit more due diligence, but we haven't seen anything terribly dramatic. I normally am selling to 1 to 2 buyers instead of a committee. And so our team has to do less multi-threading. Mm-hmm. So Helena, if your sales cycle is bigger or longer than mine, which I imagine it might be if it's not SMB, SaaS velocity sales, then making sure your champions have a lot of authority and influence and can really articulate, how decisions get made at a strategic level within the business. So I like to ask a lot of discovery questions around, like, what is the specific process that will be followed to make a decision, or how have you seen projects like this go forward in the past? Mm-hmm. And the more your buyers can articulate, concrete answers to these questions, as well as really understand the strategic priorities of the business versus, what they're responsible for on a day-to-day basis, that's going to indicate you've got a buyer with a lot of influence or authority, because those are the folks that are getting things done. Additionally, I would say you want to be very prescriptive in language to advance a deal. So if a deal is qualified and you can articulate, why they're in a posture of evaluating a solution like this and why now, then you can tell them how to buy your software or your service. And you can say, the next step is or the purpose is, or the deadline is. It can use really clear, crisp language around decision making because they've never bought something like what it is you're selling before, most likely, unless you're selling like CRM or something. And so this like really clear prescriptive language can advance the deal, and you can rely on hopefully your well-defined sales pipeline or process to really, show how to move forward instead of, kind of wait for feedback. So I'm not sure if that's helpful, but it's worked for me.
Yes.
Yeah. So in my case, since sales cycle can easily be 6 to 12 months long, there's of course tons of things that you can do to shorten this. Yeah, I think one thing that I mentioned already is that we transformed how we run POCs to just cut off this, make it more efficient. Since we also have, due to our product integration work to do, which slows it down. So how we approach a direct annual, how we approach an POC, not a full-fledged solution, more an MVP that delivers value, so to say. That was something that helped us to dramatically reduce the time from first discovery call to closed conversion, so to say. On the other hand, it's what I also mentioned, and that's for me in enterprise sales, combined with Medic, the most powerful tool is a simple go live plan, according to Medic. So it outlines very early in the first stage, after initial successful discovery meeting, is it a milestone to fill this out with a champion and to develop this document and asking the right questions. So you early get an idea who is involved, which steps needs to be done. It takes you through the all the steps that need to be done to go live, and you always can challenge from the endpoint. Okay, we might be late. Are you sure that it goes through procurement in 1 week? Are you sure that legal is just done in 2? Then they come to could be complicated due to the experience. It takes a month. Okay, we should start yesterday. So getting traction in the sales cycle, or they even do not know. That's what you mentioned, Sarah. Sometimes they never bought such a solution. They simply do not know which steps they internally need to take or what is necessary to bring this project live, and bringing their transparency in and sharing it with the buying group that gets enriched and more over the sales cycle is important to always revalidate the information that you have, that there is not the surprise egg that's then coming around the corner on the last mile. We need to do this and this, and which then let the deal slip. And this is the thing that I learned is the most powerful. It's super easy. It can be a very lean Word document, so to say. You make it a shareable one, a working document, and it enables you to sit in the driver's seat and to steer really the opportunity and have an eye-level conversion rather than being the sales guy who wants to sell something and moving from step to step. Because then it gets...
And always reminding, hi, I'm still here. What's next? Hello.
Well, what's interesting about that, and I'm smiling because I'm remembering, it was like end of quarter and I got hit with a security doc from an Australian customer at like 4 a.m. It's like the last day of the month or the last day of the quarter, you roll over, you check your email. And he was like, the security doc has to get done before I can sign the service agreement. So I like pulled myself out of bed, did a security doc. But one thing that's helped us like validate, the things that we've done in discovery, Robert, is different modes of communication with your champion or your stakeholder. So there's empirical data that shows that if you're on a text or a phone call basis with your champions and your buyers outside of email or outside of Google Meets, your propensity to close those deals is going to be higher. So some of my most performant sales reps, they're texting their customers, they're WhatsApping their customers. Even when I think about my buying behavior, like the largest deal that I signed as a buyer, he would call me at a time he knew was convenient for me during my workday, and would talk on my walk home because he knew I was walking home and he knew that I would take his call. So if that's an option, and different geographies and different cultures sometimes have a different tolerance for this, but our team, Slacks our customers, we WhatsApp them, we're annoying like that.
Yeah. Now, I would even say, right, agreeing on your both, right? Because I think on being very clear with your client definitely helps, right? Mutual action plan. I think still not every enterprise sales is doing it, and I believe in the 9 to 18 months sales cycle running without a mutual action plan is just not very smart way, because we always justify the long sales cycles because we do enterprise, and most of the time the people just waiting and nobody's clear what's happening next. But I would even go beyond, because obviously you can make an extensive mutual action plan because you have a buyer group of 15 people and you need to get them in on the enterprise. But even on smaller segment, it's really worth to define it, yeah, to give the in front of you guidance what's next, but get the consent as well. And then I would even implement, as long as it's worth to have sales in the motion, right? Having a small mutual action plan, it's worth it. Most companies think it's over-engineered and they're afraid of, but then they call the client 500 times and follow up and again and wait, instead of, look, that's next steps, what is expected. And I really like hey, is it realistic that in 1 week you get the answer of procurement? And these kind of really asking the question, nailing it down, showing what other companies do when they buy you. I think that from you, Sarah, it really helps. And then really making a joint way, because right, if both are aligned, then it's not. Then it's for both. It's both interest to make it fast. Yeah, it's not an interest of the client to make a long sales cycle. Yeah, and then offering a short discount if you sign tomorrow. I wouldn't say it's a very trustful way of closing deals. Yeah, it can help definitely, especially in Germany, but it's much more structured if you really nail it down. What's next? What can we expect? Ask questions, because most sellers are afraid of no. They don't ask. Right? They say, look, is this now enough that you know enough to sign? Do you think this product is help? Can you sign this or not? What's missing? Or even rate, right? On a scale from 0 to 10. How likely is it that you buy the product? Okay, it's 7. So what's missing to 10? Yeah, so I can ask, I get infos, but most people don't ask. Yeah, and I guess even more don't even give clear guidance. I really like the guidance part, because better you can show and familiarize, as more it can help. So thanks for the fruitful discussion. Thanks, Helena, for the question. I think that put the eye on top of it to really discuss what we have discussed before. Sarah, Robert, thank you very much for your time, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for hosting. Take care.
Yes, bye-bye.
Bye.